What is going on, guys? Welcome to the third video in learning basic Laravel. My name is QDS Dani and you guys watching my channel Coraiwood. Alright, so in the previous video we have learned 127.0.1, which is, I said, is the IP of the local host and the port 8000 because Laravel uses the port 8000. So in this video we're going to go on the folder structure. So when you guys download, make sure you guys go ahead in your HT docs and whatever IDE you guys using for Laravel, make sure you open your Laravel and we can go through the folder structure one by one. We're gonna say why it's there. Alright, so now if we defined MVC very quickly, the first one says model, the second one says view, and then it's controller. Okay, the model is where the all the database of the here, this model, all the user database goes there. The username, whatever you guys using, if you guys making e-commerce, all the product categories, user data, all the one that goes there. The view is the interface where the user interacts with your application, and the controller where all this magic is happens. Say for example, the controller, it controls the view, and at the same time controller acts between the view and the model. The model goes to controller, controller goes to view. So the cycle goes like this. Very easy. This just like amazing. It's like a magic. Alright, so first we begin with, we're gonna explain to you guys about the folders from the top to bottom. So the app folder is the heart of the application. This is where everything is, whatever, all the magic happens. And the Bootstrap is where all the Laravel connects all the applications with each other. This is the config, and as the name suggests, is for configuration, and it's for you guys to come here and configure your application. The database is where the database here is the public, is the main folder, is where Laravel talks to the web. So as we said here, if you're looking in server, so this file allows us to emulate Apache's mode rewrite functionality from the built-in PHP web server. And this one requires public index. If your application goes online, so as soon as it comes here, and because this one requires public index, it means that's public here. So it means it's got a .ht access and it's got index. So once we go in index, it goes to maintenance, then it requires the autoload. Autoload where it autoloading all the classes on modules of the Laravel. And keep in mind here in the Bootstrap as well, because it creates all the Bootstrap in app, and I'm going to explain this one very shortly. Alright, so we dive in a little bit deeper, and I'm going to close this one. And this one's, you guys should be familiar with this, because this is where the Laravel, this is the entrance of the Laravel. This is where this is the gatekeeper. This is the face of the Laravel. This is where every app enters. This is the face. So through this one, Laravel talks to the world. So if you guys wanna go somewhere in say for example America, you guys either go towards airport, which is the entrance, or you guys going toward the shipping. So but long story short, you guys always go towards entrance. So when you guys want to go and enter the building, you always go towards the entrance, and where the entrance is the public. This is the public interface of the Laravel. This is where you guys need to go and enter the Laravel. And keep in mind, if you're getting more advanced, we're going to move this index, you guys can put it in the root. So you don't have to put it in public. A lot of people, they do it just in case if you guys don't want to go there. For example, here, if you don't want to go and use this one, HTTPS 127.0.0.1 8000. If you don't want to use this root, by pretty much fine, but you gotta make this index to the root. That there is a trick, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright, so we're going to dive deep, and if you go, as I said, this is the main folder inside the Laravel. As I said, the F folder contains all the back-end code for our web application. It's got like controllers, it's got like a broadcast, it's got like a providers, it's got all the functionality for artisan commands and middlewares. So now we're gonna see the first directory is gonna be console, and the console directory contains all the artisan commands which are created by the programmer, and the programmers are us. These commands can be generated by PHP artisan make command. So if you look in here, it's got a kernel, and if you look in here, it's got schedule. So it defines the applications command schedule, and this is where all the commands here, this is the routes and the console, and this is where it says commands. And because this application is console, and this is the one is a console. This is a console. This is where we issue the commands for the Laravel. As the name suggests, PHP artisan serve is a command. So this is makes command. All whatever you guys do work with artisan, which is the files here. What if you guys interacting this one, it means you guys interacting with the console here. But keep in mind, you guys can create your own commands as well. So when you guys make your custom commands, which you guys have full control, make sure you guys we're gonna make it in console. But that's gonna be and it requires you guys to have a full grip on the Laravel. We can do that, but we have to create our own. We can do that, but you guys needs to be very highly advanced, and you guys know what you're doing and what commands you guys are issuing. So that's what these commands are. And it says these commands are PHP artisan, and I put it here. This is where these commands are. So the first command is that the make, you got a colon cost, and make channel is got a make command, as this one name suggests here. If you look in here, it's got a commands, and that's exactly the same. And even you guys making commands, and it's got to make component, we're gonna use this one a lot. So we're gonna use the controller a lot, we're gonna use the factory, and we're gonna use the, for example, the middleware, we're gonna use the migration a lot, and especially the model, because we're gonna use this model a lot. Whatever you guys making here is gonna come in this folder. Say for example, if you guys making model, make model, it means you guys creating some file here in the model subfolder inside the app. And if you're looking further, we have a make observer, make policy, make provider, it's called a make request. And keep in mind, this is like a PHP artisan. You guys can create like a PHP artisan, say for example here like this, PHP artisan make, and you guys can do controller, and you can do my controller, for example, my controller. So as soon as you guys issue this command, it goes to the HTTP, and inside the HTTP there is controllers, and you can make your controller here. And keep in mind, we use this make controller a lot, and make model you guys gonna maybe using for thousands of time, and make mail whenever you guys want to make your email, and that's going to be our discussion for future videos. So at the moment, whatever you guys worry about is the PHP artisan make. So where this console is, so now this console is where you guys making your commands. And the next one is here, we're gonna make exceptions. So exception handle, what is exception? Say for example, sometime you guys making your application, say for example here it's in debug mode, and it's say for example log level is debug. You guys don't want your application to go in the real world and give an error. For example, if you guys have a rendering issue, for example, if you're in a production mode and you're not in the debug mode, you guys on the open live server, you guys needs to make your application, say for example in debug free. When it's production, your application, even if there is a problem, should not give any error. As soon as it gives any error, for example, the hackers or the people who was monitoring your app is gonna exploit that, and they're gonna crash your application. And customers trust your application to come in. For example, if you building application for a third party, they trust your application to be secure. And here where this is called throwable, and exception handle, it handles all the exceptions for you. And then this why, as the name suggests, is HTTP. This is for HTTP side, like HTTP what is HTTP? This is HTTP. This is where is HTTPS, say google.com, HTTPS facebook.com. This is HTTP, hypertext transport protocol. This is where the entire web is. This is where this directory contains all the controllers, and it has a middleware and all the form requests. Say if you look in here, all the files here, almost all of the backend to handle requests entering your application will be placed here. Whatever the backend, so the backend we're going to show you guys in the future videos what is backend. So whatever the backend going to happen, all is going to happen here in the HTTP. So the next one we're going to come here is called model. And if you look in here, it says model, and here it says that name, email, and password. This is where you guys can create your registration, and you guys can create, say for example, your login. You guys can create through model. So this is connected to the MySQL, and this is where you guys can create all your model for your application. Then you guys can create say user directory inside user database. Inside your directory you guys can create say customer directory, database. In the MySQL you guys can create a product category, you name it, whatever you guys want to create, you guys can create it here. So this is a model. And then next we're going to come here as the providers. Long story short, the provider directory is used to contain all the service providers that are required to register events for core servers, and provides configuration for Laravel application. Alright, so next we're gonna go on Bootstrap directory. So the Bootstrap directory holds the files that are required to bootstrap the Laravel application and to configure auto loading. So this is guys here, and if you look in here, it's got an application. So first thing we will do is to create a new Laravel application instance which serves as the glue. If you look in here, for all the components of the Laravel, and is the IOC container for the system binding of all the various parts. So it acts like a glue. So when it says Bootstrap, it acts like a glue. It's got a system binding all of the various parts. The Bootstrap directory, as I said, that holds all the files that are required to bootstrap the Laravel application and to configure auto loading. The Bootstrap folder contains a subfolder cache used for caching a web application. It also contains the app.php, and this guy is here that we have opened, that initializes the scripts required to bootstrap. And you're looking here, so when your application starts running, it has a cache, or some people pronounce as a cache. It comes here, all the cache. So if you look in here, it's only 2, but git ignore, whenever you guys this git ignore, it means that whenever it goes to GitHub ignores this file, whenever whatever files you guys put it here inside the cache. But this is a little bit advanced for you guys. And say for example, if you start application product or something, then all the cache is going to come in, this cache directory. Laravel is going to make a lot of cache directories here. So it's going to be cache 1, cache 2, cache 3, cache 4, cache 5. And in the future videos, when we're going to start running our application, we're going to see this cache directory, and I'm going to show you guys how Laravel creates the cache directory, because through this cache directory Laravel sends it to customers computers, and through these ones the Laravel gonna see that who's using the Laravel, when it's using, what time it's using, and as soon as the customers come in and log in, Laravel knows who the customer is. So long story short, the cache directory is used to store framework generated files for performance optimization, to make it a lot easier and faster. Alright, so we're going to go on a config directory. So the config directory contains all the configuration files, as you guys can see, and it's related to the database, it's called related to the mail, session, services, and all of these files are required by Laravel application. So various files are available inside the config directories, as we can see here. And if you look in here, it says app, and if you look inside the app, you guys can change the name app. You guys can change the environment, for example, the value determined, the environment, production, and then you guys, we're going to come here and says app debug, and you can put your URL, whatever your URL is. At the moment our URL is a local host, but you're going to say it's 127.0.0.1, that's fine. Local host and 127 is the same. Say for example, if you're gonna look here, if you put a local host, and you're going to see here the XAMPP. This is a XAMPP configuration file, and if I put a 127.0.0.1, and you're going to set the same file, because they are the same. So 127 and localhost is the same. Regardless if you guys want to put a HTTP, 127.0.1 is the same as a localhost. And a time zone is a universal time zone. Here you can specify the default time zone for your application, which will be used by PHP date and time function. We have gone ahead, and this is time is sensible default for your out of the box. So UTC, you can come here and define which time zone you guys want. And locale is English. It means if you want we are interacting with English language. And fallback locale, and we have a key. If you're looking here, which key, and that key is this guy is here, env. This is the key that your app requires. This is all the configuration file for your app. Whatever the application file here, you guys can change this one, you guys, but make sure you guys don't touch anything now, as for now. But when we're getting our hands dirty and dive deep, then we're going to come and make changes here. And this is this file is for your authentication, and this is for broadcasting cache. That's the application for cache. And as you can see that the cache is here, but all the configuration is here. So you can make all the cache. We can change everything is whatever, all the environment for the cache. And this is all the cross origin. Our this one's called cores. It says cross origin resource sharing configuration file. So as you can see, all of them is gonna have some functionality. Say for example, this is the database connects is MySQL, for example. And here you guys can change if you want. You can change it here, or you can change it here inside the env. If you can change it here, it means this is going to be changed here in the database as well. So you can change here with your application. And these ones have a connection for SQLite, which is exactly like it's a Microsoft ones, and this is MySQL, which is PostgreSQL and SQL SRV. So MySQL is very popular, and we have a MariaDB as well, but XAMPP has a MySQL. If you look in here, XAMPP has a MySQL. We are running MySQL. So we are not using the SQLite, which belongs to Microsoft. We are not using the PostgreSQL, and we are not going SQL server. So we are not going to use any of them, but we only use the MySQL. And the MySQL uses the port 3306. And if you look in here, this is using the port 3306. That's the port the SQL is using. So the Apache is using port 80, and the MySQL is using port 3306. So that's exactly what we have here. If you look in here, the database and the file system hashing, that's a little bit advanced. Logging, mail, queues, and all of them, services, session, and view, they're all a little bit advanced at this time. And we're going to explain this one in the future videos. Next, we're going to come here and we're looking for factories. And we have for migration, and we have for seeds. So the factories, through this folder we can it says user factory. Through this one we can generate a huge number of data records. And the migration is used to migrate the database in web application. And if you look in here, the migration, so this is when we can create a lot of data. Say for example, name, email for our database. That's a factory. And the migration is where you can create straight away out of the box user. It's a name, email, verified password. And here you guys can this have a this when it says public function up, then you guys means it goes inside the database. So this one is schema. Schema is another name for MySQL. It creates the password reset. It's going to create the table, and the table is going to contain email, and it's contain a table a token, and this is a hashing token, and it's going to create another field which is going to create it at. And this one is going to fail job. Whatever your jobs failed is going to be goes inside your MySQL database. And here personal access is called token, and this token is for the application security. So the next ones we're going to come here as a seeder. And the seed folder contains the classes used to perform unit testing for the database. When we test our database, say for example, if you're creating the big application and you don't have any user, you can come here through the seed and we can create user as if the applications are live and it's like in production mode. Say for example, if you're too lazy to make a lot of users, say for example, for user have a name, email, password, whatever, and if you want to make a lot of product, say for example 100 product or 1000 product, we can come here through the database seeder, and this one is going to create within seconds for us all the database for us to test. So this is the setters. And here the first thing is that you guys should be very familiar with the public. Here the first one is HTX is for server configuration, and here favicon, that's this guy here, loading image, and we have an image and we have a robot for the search engines. So whatever, say for example, if you guys don't like Google, and just put a disallow in the, for example, whatever you guys don't want, say for example Yahoo to come and search your website, whichever you guys don't want. And you say user agent, when this started means all the user agent, all the search engines can come and parse your website. And if you don't understand parse, that's going to be a little bit advanced topic. You guys can leave a comment and I'm going to explain to you guys about the parsing. And as I said, index is, this is your entrance for your application. This is the main file which your you can let the users come. This is a gateway for your application. And then we're going to come here at the resource. If you're looking here, it's got a CSS, and it is going to contain all the CSS folder of your application. This is going to have an app.js, all the JavaScript, and if you're looking for bootstrap.js, it means that this one's going to contain all your JS. So whenever, if you guys want to bring all your CSS, you can bring it here. Say whatever Bootstrap, CSS, JavaScript, SCSS you want to bring, you can bring your resources. As the name suggests, resource. And the length, if you guys want to make multi, for example, language, you can bring all the languages here. Say for example, if you guys want to make it multilingual, you can put it here. Say for example, failed, password, throttle, you guys can define all your multilingual. And if you don't understand this, don't worry, that's going to be very advanced, and I'm going to show you guys. For example, reset, when you go on applications and you go hover, it says your password has been reset. So you can translate this to Hindi, Urdu. You can translate this, for example, the same word to the Vietnamese, Cambodian, Chinese, Japanese, every language. You can download this one. But as soon as you guys deploy your application, when the users go and put it, for example, Chinese, and your application, instead of send or reset, it's going to say all the Chinese. It's going to show all the Chinese words. That's what your language. And the reason is coming for reasons because your application, the main front view, it requires this. This is a blade. When your Laravel, everything's say for example hello.blade.php, everything's going to be in the blade. If you look in here, that's the code. Whatever you guys going to see here is all here. This is the view. Say for example, if you guys wanna say documentation, if you find this line here, we're gonna come here and say we're gonna go and we're gonna come here roughly around here, and it says gray. If you're gonna come here, say for example here, says P6. If you do in the center is current controller. If you, for example, put a H1, and if I put a H1 here, I'm gonna put a hi, welcome to Corio Wood. And as I said to you, this is a views, and it says welcome.blade.php. This is where this page is. So if I refresh, and you can see my message here, hi, welcome to Corio Wood. That's how it is, because here all the definition inside here. So hi, welcome to Corio Wood. This is where this the files here at the view, and where this is the file here, hi, welcome to Corio Wood. And soon after this video, we're gonna start working on our Laravel, and we're gonna create awesome application here, and we're gonna create our own. So instead of looking this Laravel standard one by default, we can create our header, we can create our body, our application, we can create our footer here. So we can create this. All right, so I'm going to close this. Keep in mind here at the this is for internationalization. So for Laravel, say for example, as I said, we can do in Chinese, or we can do Italian, German, whatever. And this folders, that's for view, that's for language internationalization, this for JavaScript, CSS, and that's everything's going to come in resources. Now we're going to see here at the routes. So all the Laravel routes are defined here in this folder, and all of the folders have for example, we are interested here at the web. This is where we're gonna define. Here is where you can register web routes for your application. These routes are loaded by route service provider within a group which contains the web middleware group. Now create something great, and that's what the Laravel instruct you guys to use this route, and we can create awesome application here. Say return view welcome is this guy here that we just seen here, the view, and that's a welcome. So that's this guy here, just one, it means that's a root. That's the root of your application. This is where the URI is. So URL is locator, URI is identifier, and here this one slash, it means this is a root. Say for example, if you have a user, you can put a user then here. If you have a product, then we can put a product. But if you have this guy is here by self, then the PHP, that the Laravel assumes you guys mean the index. So this is the index of the file. So this is the root, and the root and index is the same. So this guy is here. It means the index, the front of the page. So when you can put a home, you can go here, just put here. So this guy is here. So this route now referring to this view. It says welcome, and if you look in here inside the resource, and it's got a welcome. So it means we are defining this one that to welcome to be the root file here for our application. So as we said that the root web.php contains that the definition for the root file for our web interface. The route in web.php are assigned with the web middleware group that provides the features like session state and CSRF protection, which I'm going to discuss that in future video. CSRF was cross-site request forgery, which is for your application to be secure, especially when we're doing sessions and we're doing the customer say orders, or customer we're handling the cache, or we're doing login, logout, and all the sensitive information for the customer. So the routes for defines the routes API, and if you look in here, API here are assigned with the API middleware group, and they are stateless. Here is this where you can register API route for your application. These routes are loaded by the route service provider within a group which is assigned with the API middleware, and enjoy building your API. So if you come here, and if you look in here, it's a route service provider. It's called route service provider. This is where this application is provided, this one. So the home, there's got a constant for the home. So the part of the home route for your application. This is where we were talking before. And when you look in here, API is referring to that one. So the route service provider. So this area here provide all the services, app services, authentication services, we call auth, broadcast services, event services, route services. So when we call referring to route, it means is this guy is here. And same as we have a channel, we discuss channel, and we discuss console. So we discuss all here, and we said how you're going to create your channel is that app route here, like here, and that's what you can create that one here. So this is route already defined, Laravel defines for you. You can create your channel, make PHP artisan make channel, and we can make a console, we can make a command, we can make a component, we can make web, we can make seeders, for example, seeders for, as we say, seeders here in our database. So we can make seeder, we can make rule, we can make resource, and the resources here as we've seen here. So this is all the commands of the Laravel which you guys can make. As the name suggests, very easy to learn. You guys want to put it down, you guys write it down. This is very useful, and we're gonna, so when you at the end of this playlist of Laravel that we are showing you guys going to be expert in this, so you guys going to know all this by heart. And that's what the channels are. As we said, that service provider also provides for the channel, and it also provides for the console, and also provides for the, this is for us. This is where we're going to do our programming here. We're not going to touch API. We're going to touch API when our application is finished, and we create an API, and we can use this one through the route service provider as and for the time being, because we are learning, we're going to use web, because web is directly responsible for the here for the resources here. We are dealing here at the moment. So we are not going to touch the internationalization, we are not going to touch anything else. We're going to bring all our CSS configuration file, we're going to make all the CSS here. But when it comes to web, it means we are referring here. And this guy is connected. Say for example, welcome blade is controlled by the controller, which is also here. Say here, controller, this controls everything here. So this is the controller, that's what we're going to make controller, and we make our say for example model inside the models here. So this is going to be the model, and the controller is going to control our model, and at the same time controller is going to control our welcome.blade. It means that's going to be the front of the Laravel interface. That's what going to, because we are not going to leave this one as a welcome, we're going to change this one, say for example to index, we're going to change it to user, we're going to change it to home, we're going to change it to hello, we're going to change it to user categories, we're going to change it to products, we're going to change it to everything, whatever you want, for fun, for park, whatever application you guys creating. So you can create whatever application you guys creating here. We can make your controller here, whatever controller, my controller, your controller, hello controller, our controller, their controller, country controller, American controller, and all the models going to be here. Categories, product, users, you name it, whatever model, hospital, schools, colleges, universities, roads, all the models going to be here, and all the controllers going to be here, and all our views going to be here. That's what is called MVC. Very easy and very easy to debug. So that's going to be our routes, and routes is one of the most important folders inside the Laravel. So the routes basically they controls all the URL in your application. Say for example, so the routes here, it controls all the URL inside your application. You can make a URL, say for example for product, for user, for categories, for main categories, for customers login, logout, for anything you guys like. So it controls whatever URL your application is dealing with. And we're going to come here and we're going to explain this one. We have a get, we have a post, we have a put, we have a page, we have a delete, and we have options. And all of them is we're going to say what's the first part and what's the second part. So the first part is the URI, as I said to you guys, uniform resource identifier, and the second part is callback. And that's gonna be our discussion for the future videos. And this guy here is where you guys store your application. Say for example here you guys store the framework, for example cache, session, views. You can store all this, for example your files here, that's for your logs. You can store whatever storage, like house storage, when you can store your stuff. Websites have the same storage. Say for example you can store all the photos, videos, customers, whatever information you guys can create, but it's going to be mainly for say for example for public. And here it says git ignore. It means that you guys don't want the GitHub to our git is going to come and parse this folder. Whenever you guys going to see ignore, it means they're going to ignore this one. They're not going to come and search all your photos, customer photos, and customers other information, private information, because you guys should not allow any search engine or any git or GitHub to come and search this part. You should not allow, and because that's all stores all the sensitive information. All right, so now we're going to come test. Whenever you guys going to test your application, that's going to be here. As I said in initially in the previous video, that test is for developers. For example, you guys testing something, example test like this, we can create an example. We're going to test the response and assert status 200. So that's how we're going to test our application, and that's going to be our discussion for the future videos. And the last one, but not the least, is the vendor. And what is vendor? Whatever, as I said initially when we install Composer, that's what the vendor is. And if you look in a vendor and a Composer log, all the files, whatever you can see is ASM89, for example, you can see in the Composer log. This is the same file as ASM stack cores. That's the same file, and it requires PHP 8, and it requires say for example git. And if you look in here, this is all Composer. Whatever Composer creates here, Composer, whatever it creates, and it's gonna come here at the composer.log. All right, the last thing I want to discuss, for example, if you guys are having a problem, if you guys looking here and there is no env file for you, or there is no vendor, but there is a way how to deal with that. Say for example, you guys gonna come and if you don't see the vendor inside, and you guys need to come here and issue the command composer install, and it's going to install this vendor for you. It's going to go straight away here at the server, and it's going to go on the auto load, install all the everything, whatever files you're going to see here that Laravel requires. It's going to put it here, and if you look in here, that's going to create this composer.log. So through this one, you guys can through composer install, you guys can install this vendor if you don't have this vendor. And if you putting, say for example, if you want to update, you can update this one through here, composer update, and make sure your internet is on. So composer update, it's going to update all the files. So if you don't have for example, if you are here and you don't see this app key, there's a way for you guys to create, just open this one, copy everything, say this one doesn't have the app key, so copy this one, just remove the example, make sure you guys put a .env, and if you have application have this one, don't worry. But if you don't see this app key, you guys can come here and issue a command. We can put a PHP artisan, say we're gonna put a key, put a colon, and put a generate. So you can generate this key, because this key is very important if your application doesn't have a key. But if you open this env.env, and if you can see here app key, you guys are okay. Don't create this one. If you guys have this key, that's fine. But if you guys don't have, then you guys can put a PHP artisan key and put a colon, generate. It means it's going to generate this this key for you. Without this key, you guys cannot run your application. Just in case if you guys are stuck somewhere and if you guys need the debug or something, you guys can issue this command, PHP artisan key generate. And if you don't see this vendor file, vendor is a long file, all the Laravel's files here. If you don't see this one, then as I said to you guys, put a composer install, our composer install. You can issue this command, our composer update, then it's gonna issue this one. As we said initially, we have done create project. For example, we have issued this command Laravel, say for example Laravel, and we have put a Laravel. We have initially we have done this to install this Laravel, and if you can hear it's inside the composer, and that's Laravel, that's the project, and we have, because we have created the project here. So that's how the Laravel is. That's how all the commands. And if just in case if you're stuck, just issue the command PHP artisan key colon, then generate, hit the enter, and you're gonna see this app key base 64. So this is very, very important. In the future videos, we're going to create our databases. Then we're going to come here and explain through the Rout. We're going to create our view file, and then we're going to create our controller file. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Cryowood. If you guys have any question or comment, leave in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.